All right, so days 14 through 19 of World Cup have ended, and we're down to 8 finalists. But most importantly, I slept all of July 3rd. So let's get caught up. Alright, so here's how my predictions went after group stage. I got France correctly in Group E, but alas, the Swiss pulled off that second spot. I accurately predicted Group F. I completely botched the Group G prediction, horribly. The only group I got no check mark from, but hey, I did say it'd be likely Germany and one other. I just predicted Portugal and Ghana just to be different. I got Belgium in Group H, but probably like everybody else in the world, I never imagined it would be Algeria for second place. So, the final group games went as follows. Honduras versus Switzerland. The Swiss dominated the hell out of Honduras. It was more or less expected that they would go 3 and out. No surprises there. 3-0 for the Swiss, who now face us Argentines in round of 16. More on that later. France versus Ecuador. Try as they might, the Ecuadorians could scarcely cross the midfield. It was a struggle for Ecuador to even stick to the 0-0 draw, which was not the result they wanted if they were intending to stay in the cup, but it was the result they got. It could be argued that they didn't seem to care, and that they played with no sense of urgency, but hey, that's what happened. Iran's Reza Ghoochannejhad finally got a goal. Unfortunately, not any more than Messi did. Unfortunately for the Iranians, Bosnia got 3 to his 1 and hounded their net the entire game, as we all knew they would. Iran sucks. Don't expect them at next World Cup. Persian football, you owe me a prayer for the Church of Maradona. My boys Argentina kept an entertaining back and forth game against Nigeria, going for 90 minutes. Problem is, every time we scored, Nigeria would immediately equalize. The second half was a lot more defensive for both teams. We got a deserved 3-2 for our efforts. I did notice that the moment Savela took Messi off the field to rest him, the team just didn't seem to attack as much. Is it just me, or does it seem like only Messi wants to win this cup? I really hope we wake up, as now it's direct elimination. Thank God we got Switzerland in round of 16, huh? Well, more on that later. Day 15's games, I only caught the USA versus Germany game. Unfortunately, a game where the US bunkered and waited and waited and waited for a counterattack which never came. They got all like 2 the entire game. Germany just dominated and controlled the game like many thought would happen. They're lucky Germany took it more or less easy on them, as a tie would have qualified both teams. Minute 55, Mueller said, "Wait, I want to join Messi and Neymar in the list," and put his 4th, equaling their tally. Portugal's Ronaldo finally got a goal, but how cute. His 2-1 didn't help them, as they were 4 goals behind, and so goodbye Portugal. And this was your last cup, Ronaldo. Hope you enjoyed it, boy. You're not better than Messi. Guess we can put that silly rivalry to rest, huh? Messi, greater than CR7, and will always be. Anybody catch the Group H games? Seems like whenever I ignore them, Algeria is benefited. So Algeria really should have paid me to ignore their game versus Germany, just so that they could have had a shot to making it to quarterfinals. More on that later. Oh, and Korea predictably lost to Belgium, making it a complete shutout for AFC, the only continental confederation to have gotten 0 wins at this cup. In 2018, we should reduce AFC to maybe 2 or 3 berths. Give their half to CONCACAF, give the rest to CONMEBOL. Alright, now the round of 16 games, and boy were those a treat. Brazil could scarcely contain Chile in a crazy, tense, back-and-forth 1-1 draw that unfortunately had to be resolved in penalties, and which unfortunately saw Brazil to the quarterfinals. A very undeserved position for a team that has impressed all of nobody so far. Chile in extra time, with the game almost ending, had a tragic crossbar miss by Pinilla, a shot that would have made Chilean history. Instead, the game will be remembered for how shit Chile are at taking penalties, making only 2 out of their 5 versus Brazil's 3 out of 5. Pathetic. And the hands-down, truly incredible game that day was Colombia versus Uruguay, a game where, unfortunately, I was not at the Colombian bar, where I'm sure everybody celebrated their berth to quarterfinals. A game where teamwork of the highest caliber saw Colombia victorious over the dirty, cheating Uruguayan side, who attempted to Italy their way to victory. Classic good guy, bad guy fare here. It's easy to enjoy this Colombian team's gameplay on the field. They have attractive football. What Brazil has lost over time was gained by Colombia. In their 2-0 win, which was very deserved, I bet Falcao is suffering that injury this moment. This is the first time in history Colombia makes quarterfinals, and now with the standings looking like this, they have their toughest challenge yet. Brazil at home. Ouch. Netherlands versus Mexico. You know, I have a newfound respect for the Mexican team. They completely controlled a difficult game against the Netherlands and were winning 1-0 until the 88th minute hit, and everything just fell apart for them. The Netherlands scored, and then in the closing minutes of the game, they got a real dubious penalty, which enabled them to just rip the win right from Mexico's mouth. Robin clearly dove, but in the first half, Holland had a couple of penalties that weren't called for him, so it evens out. I hope in 2018 you guys can qualify by yourselves this time. Costa Rica had a grueling match against Greece, playing with 10 men for almost an hour's worth of game time due to a very unfair red card given to Oscar Duarte at minute 66. Costa Rica had been winning 1-0 the entire game, then defending for dear life with one man down until the Greek finally scored with just 2 minutes to go, forcing them to play an extra half hour of time. The Greek dominated throughout that half, but Costa Rica held their nerve and then taught the world the meaning of courage, as well as how to take perfect penalties. Take notes, Chile. All 5 Costa Rican shooters put their ball in the net, tying the game but winning passage to quarterfinals. Germany had trouble with Algeria. They could not control the game and could not get into their customary rhythm, preventing them from being able to score all game. Going into extra time, Germany finally managed to break an already broken Algerian defense that had been run ragged for 90 minutes, scoring twice in extra time. Before the game ended, however, Algeria showed their nerve and put one back in for honor. Algeria goes home, but they go home with their heads held up high. Nigeria versus France. What a contentious game that was. Nigeria scored an early goal, which was called offside. France and Nigeria took turns hounding each other's goalposts until in the second half, France finally broke through. Then in the closing minutes, Nigeria scored on themselves. France will now face Germany in a couple of hours? In what promises to be an exciting classic matchup, worthy of being called a World Cup quarterfinal. Belgium and USA. I didn't watch it. I was exhausted from watching Argentina versus Switzerland, and I didn't catch it at all. I'm told it was an exciting affair and that Tim Howard went home a hero. Good for him. But in the Argentina versus Switzerland game, goddamn, I was on edge for the entire game. The goddamn Swiss pulled another Iran-like scumbag tactic of parking their fucking bus inside their net and waiting to see if a stray ball could hit the one guy that they left out to attack with. We pounded their goalpost for 90 minutes without success, mostly due to the fact that very few holes in the Swiss defense, plus a goalie that was determined to catch everything and was on his A game, preventing us from getting into his net. It wasn't until, once again, Messi's individual brilliance shone through that he weaved through 5 defenders, filtering a ball meant for Higuain, which he let pass to Di Maria, and which took the Swiss by surprise, allowing us to finally score in overtime with only 3 minutes to go before we would have had to go to penalties, a prospect which had destroyed us in 2006 and which may have very well sealed our fate. Thank you, Messi, for being a fucking hero to us all. And now that we're all caught up, in just a few hours, France takes on Germany, and I'll probably go to the Colombian restaurant to see Colombia versus Brazil. See you in a few hours.